we're gonna be watching scary videos. Bye.
Shout out,
Guys,
shout out to SSG Animations. Let's start the video.
We're on a mission to reach 100,000 members in the SSG family. And with your help, we can achieve that goal. Thank you for being a part of our journey.
That intro is actually pretty cool.
Christmas is usually one of the best holidays of the year. The kids are always happy. There's food, parties, and presents. It's really that time of year when we can leave all our problems behind and concentrate on being happy, even if it's just 4 days. The story I'm about to tell you was just before Christmas. In those days when we were getting ready for the holidays, it was all good times. What neither I nor my children expected was that those moments of happiness
In
would
that
be
tent,
interrupted
did you
because
guys
we
not
had
see
an appointment,
blood
the unknown.
on the bottom?
Something we didn't understand at the time, and still don't today, was stalking us. And you know what? It still is. If you don't know what you're up against, how can you defeat it? It all started on a snowy day. During those days, we decided to take a mini vacation and went to my parents' country.
Can you turn that down?
My wife was hesitant to go since we had a lot of work to do.
Can you turn it down?
I am!
Vacation from school and insisted all year to go.
Thanks.
So we indulged. It was only a few days before Christmas. We
Like,
had
you
already
would turn
put the
yours
Christmas
down?
tree and decorated our house
You
in time.
didn't.
But the cabin still lacked.
How? I didn't?
Yes, you
We
didn't.
brought the
Like,
decorations
Why
to
is
the
it on
cabin.
something on my TV?
But to my surprise,
not that, your phone! Like,
a human-sized Santa Claus. It looked like an animatronic, but it was very strange. It was too thin. Normally, Santa Clauses are similar to the real Santa. Fat with a huge smile. But there was something weird about this one. His look was catchy. He looked like some Santa Claus out of some child's nightmare. I was about to put it away, but my kids saw it at the same time I did, and for some reason, they liked it. Kids really do have the weirdest tastes. Other than that, the day continued as normal. We spent the evening watching movies and eating something as a family.
You deserve great health care. That's why we created Weight Loss by Hers. 100%
I love
online
ASMR.
access to GLP-1 injections for as little
I
as
don't
$199 per month. With a range of treatments, your plan can be custom.
The kids seemed very entertained, and my wife and I were very happy about it. Nothing prepared us for what would happen the next day. After spending the night sleeping comfortably, a scream woke my wife and me at the same time. It was the scream of one of our children. As soon as we woke up, we both looked out the window where the scream was coming from. My two children were outside, running through the snow, running away from someone. When I looked back a little further, I clearly saw their attacker. No, it couldn't be true. It was the Santa Claus animatronics I had put up yesterday. This didn't make any sense. As I watched him run in the direction of my children, I could see him walk very naturally. This was not an animatronic or anything like that. It moved like a human, but it was so thin. Who could fit into that costume? I told my wife to call the police as soon as possible while I went to get our children and protect them from their attacker. At that point, I didn't care about bundling up or getting a gun. I had to go as soon as possible.
Get a gun.
As soon as I got out, I did not go in the direction of my children, but towards my attacker, who for some reason was not running, but only walking in the direction of my children. I don't know what this being was.
Bro
or
was
why
acting
it
like
was
Michael
attacking my
Myers.
children, but I knew I had to do something to stop it. With all my strength, I threw myself at him. I still thought that all this must have some explanation. Maybe it was a person disguised as a Santa. Yes, that must be it. That was the only logical explanation. A little confident from the lie I fed myself, I tried to take him down, but that's when despair and desolation took over my whole body. When I was just a few inches away from him, about to knock him down, I was overcome with a horrible feeling of fear and sadness that prevented me from moving forward. Defeated and crying, I fell to the ground, clutching my chest from the pain I felt. This was not the pain of a physical attack. It was not the pain of an illness.
Keep running.
It was the pain one
If I was
feels
you,
when
I
one
would
is
keep
very
running.
nervous or sad. Santa simply ignored me and kept walking in the direction of my children.
Oh, it's so
Whatever it
tall.
was, he was aware of what was happening to me. Possibly in some way, he caused it, since he didn't flinch an inch from my attack, knowing what was going to happen. After a few seconds that felt like hours, I gathered all my strength to get up and follow him. The pain and sadness I felt at that moment was so great that even though it faded as soon as Santa left, it still haunted me. For me, I would have stayed on the ground surrounded by ice crying, but I couldn't afford the luxury. That being was after my children, and I wouldn't let them feel for a second what I felt at that moment, or worse. I get up and ran as fast as I could through the ice. My children and Santa were already far away in the forest, but the sound of their screams guided me on the right path. With every centimeter I ran, I could feel that horrible feeling taking over my body again. The pain in my chest was getting bigger and bigger. I couldn't be far away. The screams became closer than ever until, crying against the tree, I found my two children. In front of them, the strange figure walked slowly in their direction. As soon as I saw this image, I turned to Santa Claus. You would think that nothing had changed from the last time I did it, and ended up on the ice crying. But for me, everything had changed. This time, I was watching as the strange being was about to attack my children, and at that moment, I didn't care about anything but protecting them. I ignored the pain, the fear, the sadness, the cold. All I could see was this thing approaching my children. With a war cry, I lunged at it and knocked it to the ice. Blinded by rage, I didn't realize what was really going on. I was just hitting an empty Santa Claus doll. All the feeling of fear and desperation had vanished the moment I made contact with him. Now I was doing nothing more than hitting an inanimate object while my children cried beside me. When I realized this, I stepped aside and went to hug my children while Santa stood destroyed next to us. It was all over. Once we got back, I threw all the parts of that Santa Claus in the trash and put a new one once we got home. I'll be honest with you, the new Santa Claus didn't last more than 2 days. Maybe I was still a little paranoid, but I could swear that every once in a while, it felt like it wasn't in the same position I left it in. As if his head or limbs were moving when no one was watching. Also, I couldn't shake this feeling. This feeling of paranoia that when I was near him, I was constantly being watched. For their part, my children didn't talk about it, but I could see in their eyes that they were terrified. At first, my wife thought everything I told her was a joke. But over time, she began to believe us. Although part of her thinks it's a strange collective paranoia. I can't blame her, and I can't blame you if you don't believe me. Not even in my wildest nightmares could I think something like this could happen. But I guess, as a human, there are things we can never understand. And you know what? It's okay. I don't want to understand what happened that day. I just don't want it to happen again. I just want my family to be safe.
Always want
Working at Burger King was an average
children
job for
to
a
be
guy
safe
like
when
me.
you get older.
Often the nights were quiet, with only a handful of customers coming in for a quick dinner before
Oh,
closing.
Burger King! Hey guys, that's
On
what I'm
that
getting
particular
today.
night,
Some
the
queso.
story I'm about
Yeah,
to tell
queso.
you is anything but ordinary. I was alone on the night shift, as usual,
Night
and
shift.
the clock read 10 p.m.
Imagine you hear the
When
radio.
y'all start.
Oh, you're dead.
The night was cold and dark, and the rain was pounding on the windows of the restaurant,
I'm gonna
creating
go to
a
bed,
gloomy
baby.
atmosphere. I finished cleaning the tables and was about to close when I saw a lone man standing outside in the pouring rain. He wore a black jacket and a hat that hid half his face, but something about his posture sent a shiver down my spine. I still couldn't refuse entry to a customer, so I opened the door for him. The man walked in without saying a word, just staring at me with his cold, dark eyes. He ordered a hamburger and a soda, and I prepared his order. The atmosphere in the restaurant was strange, as if silence and tension had taken over the place. As I delivered his food, I tried to make friendly conversation, but the man didn't respond. He just kept staring at me.
Nah,
Something
bro
in
looks
his
like
gaze
Michael
made me
Jackson.
uneasy, but I decided not to pay much attention to him. The man sat in a corner of the restaurant, alone, silent. I continued with my usual tasks, but I couldn't help but feel watched.
Might continue
A
this
few
on.
minutes passed.
Okay. Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. Peace.